Hola clase, hoy vamos a continuar con capítulo 4 y vamos a empezar aquí con el clima. Okay, so today's topic is first going to start with the weather and how to say some common weather expressions. You have here in front of you a list of weather expressions used with hacer. You saw many of these expressions in Spanish 1 and reviewed them throughout Spanish 2 and 3. Okay, on your note guide you have section A with this same chart. Let's fill in the English side of that chart. So you have hace calor, meaning it's hot. Hace frío, it's cold. Hace fresco, it's cool or chilly outside. Hace sol, it's sunny. Hace viento, it's windy. Hace mal tiempo, the weather is bad. And hace buen tiempo, the weather is nice. Okay. When using these common weather expressions, you will frequently hear the question, ¿Qué tiempo hace hoy? What's the weather like today? Okay, how is the weather today? You'll want to jot that down on your note guide. Okay, so far in your Spanish career, you've really just used these weather expressions in the present tense. I do want you to realize that you can use them in the future, you can use them in the past, so that's what our next slide is going to address. Okay, to use these expressions in the future or in the past, all you need to do is change the form of hacer. Okay, so to put these in the future, you're going to want to change hace from present tense to its future form, hará. Okay, so if you say hará calor, it will be hot. Okay, it'll be hará calor mañana. It'll be hot tomorrow. Okay, you can do the same thing with any of these expressions when you want to put them in the past. Okay, to say, oh my gosh, it was hot yesterday, or it was windy, etc. You need to change the form of hacer to the imperfect and say, hacía viento, it was windy yesterday. Hacía mal tiempo, the weather was poor last week. Or hacía buen tiempo, the weather was so nice. Okay, another side note to notice that when you're trying to say like, oh my gosh, it is really hot out or it's really cold. When we think really in English, we think muy. Okay? Don't do that with these weather expressions. Okay? With these weather expressions, you need to use mucho instead. Okay, so my example here, hace mucho calor, it's really hot outside. Okay, the reason you're using mucho as opposed to muy is that these are nouns. Okay, when you say hace mucha calor, calor is a noun, therefore it cannot be used with muy, it is used with mucho. Okay, some other side notes that I want to continue to write down on your note guide is this verb nevar. Nevar means to snow. Okay, it's a stem changing verb. You can use it in the present tense, nieva, it's snowing. You can use it in the future tense, nevará, it will snow. Or you can use it in the imperfect tense, nevaba, it was snowing. Another verb that you should know, llover. It means to rain. You can use it in the present tense and say llueve, it's raining. You can use it in the future and say lloverá, it will rain. Or you can use it in the imperfect and say llovía, it was raining. Okay, so hopefully the majority of these weather expressions used with hacer and the verbs nevar and llover are words you remember from Spanish 1, 2, and 3. Okay, the only difference here, using them in Spanish 4, is that we now know we can put them easily into the future tense by changing hace to hará, and we can use them in the past tense to talk about the past by changing hace to hacía. Okay, now let's talk about, turn your note guide over, how to use other weather expressions that are used with haber as opposed to hacer. Okay, these expressions will be new to you. You have a chart there on the back of your note guide in section B. Please fill in the English. When you say hay polvo, you're literally saying there is dust. Okay, in English that would mean it's dusty outside. Obviously that doesn't really apply to Indiana. Okay, but hay polvo, maybe if you were out west, it's dusty. Okay, hay nubes literally says there are clouds, translated as it's cloudy out. Hay niebla, there is fog or it's foggy outside. Hay sol, literally saying there's sun or the sun is shining. Hay luna, the moon is shining. Hay chubascos. There are squalls or sudden rainstorms. And hay chubascos de nieve. There are snowstorms. Okay, so really these chubascos are just like storms that kind of pop up. Okay, they come out of nowhere. You'll notice that all of these weather expressions used with haber, they have something in common. They all describe weather conditions that are visible to the eye. Okay, so let's take a moment and compare. Hace sol means it's sunny outside. Hay sol, the sun is shining. Really, in English and in Spanish, those are kind of interchangeable. They both imply that the sun is out today. Okay, so I'm not going to be real picky on testing quizzes when it comes to that. If you put hace sol or hay sol, I get it. Okay, the sun's out. Perfect. Okay, just a little bit of meaning or difference in meaning when you translate them. Okay, but can be used interchangeably for the most part. Other things to consider, just like we did with the expressions with hacer, you can put these in the future and in the past. All you need to do is change the form here of I. So the future tense conjugation for haber would be habrá. So if I said habrá nubes, oh, it will be cloudy tomorrow. Okay, or if I said habrá polvo, it'll be dusty tomorrow. You can put haber in the imperfect tense to talk about these conditions in the past. Okay, so again, you just change I to había. So if I said, oh, it was really cloudy yesterday, había nubes. Or, ooh, it was foggy this morning, había niebla. Okay, and just like it tells you on your note guide here, if you were saying, oh, it was really cloudy, it was really foggy, again, you're not going to use muy, you're going to use mucho. And the same reason is going to be for haber that it was for hacer. These are nouns. Okay, so you can't use muy with them, you use mucho. Okay, so if you were saying it was really cloudy, okay, había muchas nubes. Or like it tells you here on your note guide, it's very cloudy, hay muchas nubes. It's very foggy, hay mucha niebla. Okay, do be careful, you can change mucho. You have to change it to match the gender and number of the noun. So for example, in your first, it is very cloudy, nubes, that's feminine plural, las nubes, so it's muchas. Or it's very foggy, la niebla, fog is feminine singular, so you gotta have mucha instead of mucho. Okay, if you have questions on that, we'll talk a little more in detail about that in class if you've got questions. Okay, now it's time to do some practice. I would like you to complete these statements based on what is in the parentheses. So let's do number 1 together. It says, it is really cold today. Okay, if you look on section A of your note guide, to say it's cold, you have hace frío. But how do I say it's really cold? You should have put in hace mucho frío. Okay, please pause me and work through these examples. Okay, number 2. It was really windy and it was raining a lot. Hacía mucho viento. 3. It will be sunny tomorrow. I would say hará sol. The weather is bad and I don't want to leave. You would say hace mal tiempo. No quiero salir. 5. There are snowstorms in January. So you would say hay chubascos de nieve. 6. It was cloudy and really cold. Había nubes. And 7. The moon will be shining tonight. Kind of like saying the moon will be out tonight. Habrá luna esta noche. Okay, jot down any questions that you may have had after working through those practice problems. We're now going to go on to section D. This is something you did see in Spanish 3. We're going to talk about how to use hacer with expressions of time. Okay, I want you to review this this topic you had in Spanish 3. Okay, it says here, use hace with a time expression plus que plus a verb in the present tense to talk about how long something has been going on. Okay, so whether you were saying, oh, I have been talking for 10 minutes, we have been studying this unit for a week, etc. This is the structure you want to use. Look at this example here. Hace 4 años que yo estudio español. This would mean I have been studying Spanish for 4 years. Okay, so again, I just used this structure here. I had hace plus my time expression, 4 years, plus que, and then my present tense of estudiar. Okay, estudio español. If you were saying here, I have been talking for 10 minutes, then you would just go hace, then your time expression 10 minutes, 10 minutos, que, and then I'm talking, hablo. Hace 10 minutos que hablo. I've been talking for 10 minutes. Okay. Jump down to number 3 on your note guide. I just put this little question here. You're going to use the question, ¿Cuánto tiempo hace que? Plus the verb in the present tense to ask how long something has been going on. So if I ask you, oh, ¿Cuánto tiempo hace que trabajas allí? How long have you been working there? Okay, again, you just use this structure plus the verb in the present tense. Okay, you can use the same structure to talk about the past. So as opposed to saying you're talking about how long something has been going on, you're going to talk about how long something had been going on. You will use hacía plus the time expression plus que plus an imperfect tense verb to talk about how long something had been going on in the past. Look at this example. Okay, we've got hacía. Hacía 4 años, there's my time expression, que estudiaba, there's my imperfect tense verb, español cuando me gradué. I had been studying Spanish for 4 years when I graduated. Okay, write that down on your note guide. You can also use that similar question formation to talk about how long something had been going on. Okay, that's number 3 on your note guide. So if I said to you, ¿Cuánto tiempo hacía que trabajabas allí cuando saliste? How long had you been working there when you left? Okay, hopefully you remember that structure from Spanish 3. The last thing I want to show you is number 4 on your note guide. You guys have asked me this in class before. Okay, how do we say ago? Like, how do I say 2 weeks ago, 2 years ago, 5 minutes ago? Okay, it's going to be with this verb hacer. Use hace with a time expression plus que and a preterite tense verb to say ago. So look at this sentence. Hace 2 años que fui a España. This says, I went to Spain 2 years ago. Okay, or here, 2 years ago, I went to Spain. The word order of this construction can be reversed so that it's a little bit easier for you in Spanish. Look at this sentence. I went to Spain 2 years ago. Okay, that's how we would all say it in English. So here it is, a literal translation. Okay, fui a España hace 2 años. Okay, so if you don't want to use this whole structure up here in purple, you can say it just like you would in English. Just do it here. Just know that hace with a time expression means ago. Okay, so fui a España hace 2 años. Okay, now let's practice these a little bit. We've got some translations. We'll do number 1 together. I have been traveling for 2 months. Okay, so this is present tense here, so you've got to use hace with that time expression and que. So we've got hace. Our time expression is 2 months. So hace 2 meses que, and then what's to travel? Okay, now put viajar in the present tense. Yo form. You would have viajo. So your whole sentence should say, hace 2 meses que viajo. All right, please pause me and work through these and we'll check our answers. All right, so there's that first one. Hace 2 meses que viajo. Number 2, she had been living there for 3 years when her passport expired. Okay, so we're going to talk about what was going on. She was living. That's the part of the sentence we're going to focus on first. So, hacía 3 años que vivía allí. So this says she had been living there for 3 years when her passport expired. Typically, this other part of the sentence, okay, that's going to be preterite. And that goes back to the interrupting action, okay? So, cuando su pasaporte expiró. 3, we have been learning Spanish for 4 years. Okay, so this is still going on. It's present tense. We're going to use hace with our time expression and a verb in the present tense. We have here, hace 4 años que aprendemos español. 4, you had been waiting a long time when they called you. Okay, so we're talking about what was going on in the past. So we need to use hacía with the time expression and a verb in the imperfect tense. So we've got hacía mucho tiempo. That means a long time. So hacía mucho tiempo que esperabas cuando te llamaron. Again, this when something else happened, that's your interrupting action. That's preterite. Cuando te llamaron. And lastly, the easiest one here, using ago, just use hace with the time expression. The passengers arrived 2 hours ago. Literally translate it. That's the easiest way to go. You're going to say, los pasajeros llegaron hace 2 horas. Okay, or if you like this structure where you put the form of hacer with the time expression then que, you can write it like this. Hace 2 horas que los pasajeros llegaron. I personally prefer to just literally translate it. Okay, and I know in my mind that when I want to say ago, I use hace with the time expression. Okay, I know that was a lot of information. Please review those concepts in your textbook as well by reading pages 98 to 100. I will put those weather expressions in your vocab, okay, on a Quizlet for you. If you have any other questions, please jot them down on your note guide. Muchas gracias. Adiós.